People like me, Americans of African descent, are called African Americans. Now, if a European born in Africa were to move here, would he be considered African American?
My parents and I have always lived in Nebraska. I never saw a African American, outside of TV, until I went to college. I became friends with the first African American man I met, Hakeem.
My mom's from the Dominican Republic. My dad's from Cuba, and I'm from Harlem. You can't tell by looking at me, but there were slaves in our family, on my mom's side. That's our dark family secret.
I come from a big family. There were 8 of us kids. My father was a salesman. We moved all across the country and married all kinds of people. My older brother, Ned, he married a Lakota Indian girl. They had 5 kids. Another brother, Jim, he got a Greek girl pregnant. He married her. Then he married a German girl.
I grew up only with my mother in a so-called broken home. Mama worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs. And we never had much, but we were never on welfare. And by the way, I don't play basketball, and I'm a horrible dancer.
My mom is French, Dutch, and Austrian. My dad is Brazilian, Indian, and Algerian. I'm not sure what I am.
No, I'm not Japanese, Vietnamese, or Korean, not Cambodian, Laotian, or Filipino. My family is from China.
When people see me, they're pretty sure I'm Anglo. When they hear me speaking like this, they're definitely sure I'm Anglo. Pero when I go back to my own neighborhood and I start talking like this, then everybody be calling me a Puerto Rican, all right?
I don't usually make friends easily, but I liked Hakeem right away. He wore those cute little braids all over his head, like in that Sprite commercial. He was playing basketball by himself. He let me play. I kicked his butt.
Some people say I don't talk black, as if black were some kind of language. Now, are Nelson Mandela, Bryant Gumbel, and Sidney Poitier all supposed to sound like Snoop Doggy Dogg?
Another brother, Bill, he married a Sicilian. They have 4 kids. Another brother, Eric, he lives with a girl who's half Irish, half Cherokee. They have 1 kid. Now, my younger brother, Bob, he gets married every other year or so.
I was not born with a slide rule in one hand and selling fruit in the other.
Whenever I see a couple of black guys behind me, I automatically cross the street. But I never cross the street when white guys are behind me. TV's making me afraid of myself.
Asians do not all look alike, sound alike, or get straight A's in school.
Now Hakeem and me are best buddies. We play ball and study together every day. My only other friend, Penny, is like, you're spending too much time with Hakeem. People are starting to talk. But people always talk about me. They think I'm weird.
In some parts of the country, I'm considered a Hispanic. In others, I'm a Latino. Whenever I have to fill out a form that asks my race, I just check other and write human. Or sometimes, I write redhead.
During slavery, it was forbidden for black folks to interact with civilized white folk. We had to stay in our own place. We could only mix with our own, eat with our own, sleep with our own, do everything on our own, except think for our own selves.
I love to play ball. Most guys are intimidated because I can beat them. Hakeem's not. And I don't care that his skin is like brown. I don't pay attention to it. I notice it, but it's like not important. Skin color, it shouldn't be important, even though it is. Am I making sense?
I don't eat dog. I've never owned a camera, and I don't know karate, jiu-jitsu, or kung fu.
First, Bob married a Polish girl, and they had twins. Then he married a young Anglo-Saxon Protestant. They had a kid. Then he married a Portuguese girl who had a couple of kids with a black fellow. She had 3 more with Bob. Now Bob's engaged to a Filipino girl. Guess what? There's a baby on the way. Bob's got his own little United Nations.
Before I was a teenager, I lived with some of my mom's people. She sent me to charm school to gain self-confidence. I was to speak and act like a proper young lady at all times. I learned to play badminton and properly sip tea. I learned to appreciate opera, and I vacationed every summer in France. I was so white, I couldn't stand it.
Who made race so important anyway? It's like, okay, I meet someone whose skin color is different than mine, and I'm supposed to go, hey, your skin has more melanin than mine, so I'm supposed to hate you and all your stinking children. That's real civilized.
Back then, whites and blacks were taught that blacks were less than men, barely human. We were auctioned off and sold like animals. Those who profited from slavery wanted everybody to believe that one drop of African blood was the curse of inferiority.
The Creator made the human race. We made all the others.
I have an aunt with green eyes. My half-sister grew up with her. Now she wears green contacts, and all her friends say she wants to look white. Hey, I have a cat with green eyes. Maybe it wants to look white, too.
My sister Gail married a Jewish man from Russia, and they had 3 kids. My kid sister Lisa married an Irishman who's half Puerto Rican. They have 3 kids, and each one has a different skin color.
One night I brought Hakeem home to meet my mom. She was really happy somebody at school liked me. We sent out for pizza. Hakeem and me ate it in my room and watched MTV. Then we fell asleep. And then my dad came home.
Now some of us, without thinking, forbid ourselves from socializing with, marrying, or acting like the white man. If we do, they say we've forgotten who we are.
When I was in high school, I lived with my dad and some of his people. They helped me to loosen up. I listened to jazz and gospel and rap. I stayed in church all day, every Sunday, and we talked back to that screen at the movies. I was so black, I couldn't stand it.
I didn't forget who I am. People who look like me fought in every American war, survived chattel slavery, and endured every possible kind of humiliation. We helped build this country. We shed our blood for it. We mixed our culture into it. We prayed for it. We demanded our freedom from it. And we won our dignity in it. All for the right to befriend and be whatever we want to whomever we want.
My dad, who was like from the dark ages, acted like a caveman. He put Hakeem out and accused us of fooling around in my room. He said that if I ever had a black baby, he'd disown me. Like I'm his property.
Does the Creator love me any less because of my gene pool? The size of my lips, my hair texture, the shape of my hips? I don't think so.
When I started working, I tried to hang out with a more neutral crowd, some Hispanics. My entire Spanish vocabulary was muy bien. They suggested I take my bien and my butt back to wherever I came from.
I know who I am. I'm an American who's earned certain unalienable rights, and I'll fight the devil in hell to keep every one of them.
When my black friends say mean things about whites, I cringe. When my white friends say hateful things about blacks, I cringe. It hurts because they're all talking about me.
My dad says it's a sin to mix bloodlines. He says it's in the Bible. He's never even owned a Bible. I told him me and Hakeem were getting married. I lied to make him mad. It worked. He changed color twice.
My father tells everybody he's pure Irish. He's Irish, all right. Also part Italian, Scandinavian, Spanish, with a dash of Moroccan. My mom's Irish and Greek and French Canadian.
My boyfriend is part Mexican, and part Korean, and some other stuff. We stay mostly to ourselves anymore. We don't want to be black or white or mixed. All we want are friends who look past our looks and really see us.
Newsflash, everybody, heaven and hell are not segregated. And people who judge people by their looks or something stupid are going to find out the hard way. Guaranteed.
Whatever I do, think, or say, however I behave or believe, I'm going to remain Gregory Douglas Franklin, a man who thinks for himself all the time about everything.
Penny, who is jealous of Hakeem big time, says I'm like really dumb. I should stop being friends with Hakeem so my dad doesn't have like some massive heart attack. But if me and Hakeem stop being friends, that would break my heart.
So what does that make me? Only the good Lord knows, for I sure don't. I guess my wife and I are just mongrels. Mutts, like most everybody else in the country.
I was born in Houston. I'm American, just like you.
I was born in the garden. I am African and European. I am Native American and Eskimo. I'm Asian and Australian. I'm South American and Canadian.
Italian and German blood flow through my veins. So do Egyptian and Jamaican.
I've lived in India and New Zealand, Chile and Pakistan. I've crossed Iceland and the Sahara. I built the Sphinx and the Eiffel Tower.
I've bathed in the Euphrates and the Mississippi, the Amazon and the Nile. I've climbed the Alps and the Rockies.
I've journeyed to the moon and to the floors of oceans. I've tamed the wildest animals and conquered the mightiest armies.
I've lived in China and Tahiti, the Azores and Patmos.
I've marched with Moses and Gandhi, King and Napoleon. I'm as much Jesse James as Jesse Jackson, as much Mussolini as Churchill.
As much Benedict Arnold as Mother Teresa. As much Geronimo as Christopher Columbus. As much hero as rogue. As much loved as despised.
My skin is black, white, brown, red, yellow, and every exquisite tone in between.
I was created in the image of the one living God. I am every person, human being, Homo sapien. But my extinction is certain if I don't learn to love all of me.